Howdy everyone. Again, to the anti-wokescolds who clicked on this video just to dislike it. If you look on my channel, I've uploaded over 20 videos since last August, many of which have taken and continue to take many hours of my time to make, which is all well and good, and I've reached about 1,000 subscribers as a result. Thank you all for that. But the 3 most popular videos I've uploaded have all been ones I didn't put that much effort into. I wrote most of them in a day or 2 at most, compared to some projects that my editor and I, have worked on for weeks. And they were all about other leftists, specifically the dirtbag left and anti-wokescold crowd. And I want to make that point first, mostly to avoid accusations of,
"You claim to be pro-leftist unity, but you got famous because of stoking leftist infighting. Curious."
Because you guys are all predictable as ever, but also because hating on other leftists gets a lot of attention, and I know that. I also got this one comment about how my points weren't substantiated or rhetorically convincing, even to someone who wanted to be convinced. And I must say, at the time I was intensely emotionally invested with my channel, so that comment got to me. Bad skill to have, but damn, that person is pretty good at writing hate comments, I must say. Anyway, this video is for me to substantiate a bunch of the more important comments I made in that video, clarify some positions that needed more nuance, and make them more rhetorically convincing. Without further ado, let's head into it. Position 1.
I don't think that the crowd of people who are genuinely weaponizing progressive criticisms against people to punish them for their own amusement are enough of a significant minority, or even close to being that, to be worth the amount of attention that they're getting.
Now, this is probably the most contentious position in this video, but I still stand by this for the most part, albeit with some important clarifications. I think that there are a lot of people on the left who get caught up by the concept of being cancelled dishonestly for stuff that they've done years in the past. And while the obvious solution to that in wokescold adjacent spaces is don't do fucked up shit, you dingus, and I think that's generally a good message to put across, there's a little bit more to it than that. Because there are some people out there who do try to cancel people in a disingenuous way because they hate the person or they think it's fun or something. And I do think that these people are bad and it's worth not liking them. But at the same time, they don't represent a sizable enough proportion of the online left to be worthy of the sheer size and types of attention that they're being given. A lot of the time, not all the time, the people being labelled as this are just noticing that some things that these people do have roots in bigotry. Things like when Fundy made quite off-colour jokes about rape and sexual assault, people were noticing that those jokes are kind of bad for him to make, actually, and promptly explained to him that they were crappy things to do. Sometimes people say just straight up shitty things, and those things need to be addressed. Some things do have very bigoted roots, but at the same time aren't perceived to be as bad by wider society. And bringing these up, while maybe not the most important pressing issues, are still good things to be aware of. The problem arises when these things are misconstrued along the way, which always happens, and is largely due to non-leftist related reasons. The media cycle, outrage news, and a society-wide hatred of cancel culture, for example, all issues which can't be solved by just not being a wokescold, for instance. Position 2.
That's right, people. Just like many things within our society that are tough to define conclusively, wokescoldness, however you conjugate the word, is a spectrum.
Similar point to before, but the other way round. If you're an edgy leftist content creator with some questionable things in the past, then the badness of those things is gonna vary. If you, say, harassed a girl one time, realised a bit later that that was weird and messed up of you to do, and then apologise for it, then that's going to deserve a different amount of cancellation than promoting a TERF and then their talking points to own the libs or something, or allowing a trans medicalist to voice an 11-second clip on your video essay, or having a badly worded opinion on Twitter, for example. Compound that with the fact that people are naturally self-serving, so they'll always think that they deserve less hate than they're getting right now, as well as the fact that it's really hard to control how out of hand and widespread these things can get for seemingly no reason, except that they affect members of minority groups substantially more, but that's just a coincidence, I'm sure. And you can get a wildly different amount of deserved cancellation and actual cancellation in both ways. Plot them against each other and oh my god, it's a spectrum. Anyway, position 3.
The people who are so vehemently anti-wokescold are often the people who spend the most time trying to cancel people for criticizing the left for the exact same reasons. A noticeable proportion of people who preach about left unity from the anti-wokescold side and say that wokescolds are too inwards often dedicate way too much of their time arguing against these so-called wokescolds, in hostile and non-constructive ways, mind you, and aren't focusing their time on trying to build that left unity.
If you've been on leftist Twitter recently, then I feel sorry for you. But also, you've probably seen this tweet, more specifically the one being quote tweeted. And regardless of the opinions you have on it, and I've made my opinions on this topic abundantly clear, a lot of people went to their tweet, whose replies are limited, mind you, implying maybe to these people that their harassment is explicitly not welcome. And rather than asking themselves whether they have any internal biases that may make them more likely to insult people because they present online as neurodivergent, as Corvidae is, instead decided to insult them purely with the things that he specifically said made him uncomfortable. And going out of your way to insult a disabled person with something that they specifically said is ableism that makes them uncomfortable is an interesting strategy, to say the least. And this is the type of hostility that people like to give to these, quote, wokescolds. The part that I want to bring attention to as well is that a lot of people who identify themselves with the anti-wokescold, anti-SJW, dirtbag, cool kid leftist ideology, a lot of the arguments that you're making are so often pro-unity, and criticize the wokescolds and SJWs for being too inwards, for ruining the left with their constant infighting, and for being bad optically for the leftist movement, and not attacking the fascist problem. And yet, all I see here as an outsider looking in is leftists harassing a disabled person online, relentlessly and tirelessly, making constant violent attacks to the point where they have to stop any and all public interaction with anyone altogether, instead of actually trying to fight the aforementioned onslaught of fascism. And bullying and harassing a prominent left-wing content creator off the internet for saying something the leftist hypervigilant mob disagrees with doesn't sound like an anti-cancel culture ideology to me.